when you talk about Frank as a person, at this point in his life, everything starts with his battle with Parkinson's. As a young man, dealing with that horrible disease and affliction. And actually, that's what has elevated him to greatness. Everybody that knows Frank, everybody in his world is inspired. Here's a guy that could sit around all day long and just cry about bad luck and the chips that he's been dealt. But instead, he has refocused his energy. He's still creative. He's energetic. Sure, he has bad days and he has bad weeks. I mean, he has Parkinson's. But I like to say that Frank Ferrara accomplishes more in a day than the rest of us accomplish in a month. He's a real inspiration. He's honest. He's sincere. He has tremendous integrity. He doesn't have a bad word to say about anybody. He's a mentor. He's a friend. Really, really one of those guys that you just look to with great admiration.
I think Frank's kind of guy that there's no way you could possibly describe in one sentence. That guy has so many layers and so many dimensions. I don't know if it's possible. I would have to say he's probably one of the most intriguing, brilliant individuals I've ever met on the artistic level or any other level. He's goes beyond the normal waves of thinking, and that's what I admire about Frank Ferrara.
I love to set up limitations. I learned a long time ago that sometimes people have a blank piece of paper, they're intimidated, they don't know where to start. It's too wide open. If you give somebody 17 acres and say, build me a mansion, anybody can do that. But give them a little 10 by 10 city lot and say, build me a mansion. And that's where talent comes in. Can you work within this box? How creative are you to make everything fit and work inside that? So I always create limits for myself of I'm not going to work outside these lines.
Technically, the first time that I met Frank, even though I don't remember this, was April 7th, 1961, because we were born side by side at Pittsburgh Hospital and about 10 feet apart. That's the definition of a lifelong friendship. We actually met for real in, I think, 5th or 6th grade, and we were friendly, but I would not say that we were good friends. We went through elementary school, junior high, middle school, and high school together as friendly acquaintances, but it wasn't until much later in life that our paths crossed at our 40th birthday. Ironically, we ran into each other in downtown Pittsburgh and then became reacquainted. But up to that point, I had not followed Frank's career. I had no clue of the things he was involved with. We reconnected on our 40th birthday because we do share the same birthday. And shortly thereafter, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I became aware of his world, his artistic world, his world of sculpting and media creation, and we've just become like brothers over the past 9 years.
I'm a believer that if you're going to capture something, make it yours. I said earlier about I'm not a fan of creation. I'm not a fan of capturing reality and leaving these. I think if you're good at painting people's portraits, that's great. What that does is develop your eyes and how you see things, and it proves that you're a good draftsman. But at some point, I think if you want to continue to push yourself, you have to create new and original pieces, and to do that you need to take an image and make it yours, make it your own. If you're going to paint a fruit bowl exactly the way it looks, you might as well take a photograph, because you're going to get a great representation. I don't really admire realism art. I just think that it proves that people have the ability to see well and transfer detail to canvas or paper, making them a good draftsman and a very technically apt person in the arts. I think it takes a great amount of courage to create something that doesn't exist and something new. So it's not to say that you can't take reality and abstract it, and that's what I do with sound. I mean, a sound artist is a person who takes existing sounds and uses them as media, the way you use paint.
Well, Frank and I have worked on several projects together now. Mostly his inspiration and a little bit of legwork from me. He is working on a full-length feature film called Rock Band that we have been involved in because I do the live sound for the band. So some of my sound work has interfaced with his video, but probably the most impressive and time-consuming project we worked on was his opera Gravity and Grace, which was really an interesting experience for me. I'd never done theater work before, and quite frankly, I had no idea what the concept of the play was going to be. We went in cold, and in a week I became part of what was a very impressive production. Visually, sound-wise, it was quite impressive what he did to bring that whole opera together. So that was the largest project I've worked on with Frank.
But primarily through the years, I have supported Frank, or attempted to support him in his ventures. The greatest, of course, being Gravity and Grace, which is his contemporary opera dealing with the issues that he faces with his Parkinson's.
I just completed an opera called Gravity and Grace. I mean, since I have found myself not comfortable using power tools anymore and have difficult walking and have days where my health isn't at its best, today's a good day. I find other ways to express myself. When I'm able to pull myself out of this workstation, I work in a little bit in performance art. And I had an idea. I created this opera based on my disease, Parkinson's disease, and how we cope with it, called Gravity and Grace. And those are the two issues I face most in my life. The physical force of gravity, which has always wants to push you down as you fight against it to stand up. And as your body deteriorates with Parkinson's, as this disease starts to, as your brain starts to generate, the neurotransmissions in your brain degenerate, you start to end up sort of as an anomaly in society. You become disabled, and people respond to you differently, look at you differently, and of course you want to be who you are, so you try to make some dignity in that form. It's grace. So Gravity plus Grace is this math formula that I created in the name of this opera.